Hi everyone, welcome to the next lesson, which is all about the structure of HTML. So in this lesson, what you'll be learning about is what the proper structure is for a web page. So far what we've done is just give you enough HTML to be able to learn a little bit about styling and how that all works. But now what we want to do is we want to get to the point where we're able to structure a HTML page in the correct manner. So the structure that should always apply to a HTML document is to first put in doc type and what doc as the first thing, and doc type doesn't have an end tag, it just is a standalone tag. And what that does is that it tells the computer to use the latest version of HTML. It can use an earlier version. And then the next tag that should go below that is the HTML tag, which basically tells the computer, it doesn't actually show anything on the screen, it just tells the computer that where the web page starts and where it finishes. Within that, then we have the two major elements. The first is the head, and what the head does is that's where you should be holding all of the information that does not appear on the screen but is still required to make the web page run. So that can be things like styling, style. It can also be things like script, which is some HTML tag for JavaScript, which is beyond the scope of this course. And things like title is also put in there. Now, title is one of those ones that's it does actually affect the appearance on the screen, but title, as you might remember, gives you the what appears on the tab, not what's on the page, which is why it's in the header. So that's basically what the header does. And it's really just an organization thing. And then we've got body. So what body does is basically the body of the web page, and so this should have elements that appear on the page, that affect basically the structure of the web page. So they would be things like a paragraph tag. They could be a hyperlink tag, which you've seen before, and they could also be things like header tags. Now, header tags are something that we haven't mentioned previously, so it's probably worth touching on these. So header tags, and they're normally H1 is the largest header tag, and then there is H2, and it goes all the way down to H6, so we might put 4 of them in. Okay, and just show you exactly what they do. Header 4. Oops. Okay, so if we put some text into each one of these, so I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we'll show it on the screen, and we might put some text in here. Okay, control this. Okay, so up on the screen now we have a header 1, which is a value 1, and then 2, then 3, then 4. Now basically what the headers do is they have default types of formatting, but basically that's not really their intent. The fact that they have this font, the first font is bigger than the second, etc., is actually not the point of them. H1, H2, and H3, and all the way down to H6, is designed to help the search engine to understand what your web page is all about. So on the web page, you should always only have one H1 on there, which should be the title of the page. And then for the next page, you might have the subsections that fall within that page. So that might be, if we're talking about sport, that might be winter sport and summer sport. So you might have two H2 tags with summer sport and winter sport. and then within them you might have the types of sports broken down, and they would be a heading 3, so that someone like Google can come along and see how the website is arranged. And within that, you might, under these subtitles, that's where you might use a P tag to be able to do it. So that's basically the structure in a nutshell. Now, the one thing I did want to mention on top of this is that you would have already noticed, if you're looking at your styling pages, is that, or your pages, is that when you have all this styling at the top, your pages can get extremely long. So I would expect, if you're building a proper website, that you're probably going to be in excess of 1,000 lines, which makes the file quite unwieldy. So one of the methods that is used to prevent this issue is to actually create a style sheet. So for example, if we put into our style, what we've been doing up to this date is we've been targeting a specific element and giving it, and we'll just give it a color. And that's how we've been reducing it. So every time we put an item on the page, we've got all the styling happening. So for example, you can imagine if we have 5 or 6 things just in the header as navigation tabs, then we have 4 or 5 paragraphs, we have a table, we have something else. The amount of styling that we're going to have in here is going to be absolutely massive. So basically what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to break it into little tabs that can that can break our code into smaller bits, which also makes it easier to find stuff when you need to make a modification. So the way to do this is that currently, and I've just done it with one example here, we've just colored the first title, is that you can create a second file, which I've already done. So you can create a second file, in this case I'll call it styles. And what we can do is that we can take the information that is here. Okay, so we don't need the style tag either. Take a copy of that and we can paste it in here. Okay, now what happens is if we remove this now and refresh and save, you'll see that we've lost our styling. Even though we've got it over here and we've saved it, it's not coming through, and that's where we need to put in a link. Okay, so the link, we use a link tag. Now when you use a link tag for this, it should not be in the style sheet. Okay, and we need to give this 2 properties. One is rel, and we want the style sheet, which is just the syntax for it. And then secondly, we need the source of the style sheet, which is href, which is the same as what we've done previously with calling other things in. Okay, in this case, we've got the styles sheet, CSS, okay, and then we can close our bracket. As soon as we do that, what should happen is that the styling comes back. So that means that when we're doing our styling, what a lot of people do is that they just have the 2 sitting side by side, and they basically just add styles in as they need and come back, and you can see that all of a sudden you don't need this, and you're reducing the amount of stuff that is on a page just to make it easier to manage. Now the other thing for organization, which is the last thing we'll do for this video, is that whenever you're doing your laying out of your page, you should always be using indents as you go down in levels. So for example, we have the HTML, which is the total page, and then within there we have 2 subsections. We have header, head, and body. And within that we have, so in the body, for example, we have the level down is what's in the body. And each time you go down a level, you should be indenting. 1, it just makes the code easy to read, and 2 is that there is a feature here which you can see me click on the arrow, that if you have your indenting sorted out properly, you can basically simplify your code and only look at the sections that you want. So you should definitely be doing it that way. If you don't do the indenting, that will not work. Alright guys, I hope that was useful. Jump onto the exercises and we'll see you next time.